We're back with Bant Living End. If the 2 different street wraiths bothers you, it bothers me too. If this hand's okay, I'm going to keep it. Really just looking for a 3rd land and hope we can cheese a quick win out of this. Our opponent is on Belcher of some sort. Well, that is the sort. It's Belcher. And Force of Negation was a great draw there. Just looking for a 3rd land at this point. Hopefully we can surveil something big into our graveyard. They suspend Lotus Bloom. Lotus Bloom was already suspended. We definitely don't want that. And unfortunately, it looks like we're just going to hit them with the small Living End. Unless we can draw a Street Wraith. Or if they have Force of Negation. They picked up a land there. I am trying the extra Besage in the sideboard to attack lands out of this deck because they can't play any searchable lands. And they require quite a bit of mana. That was a really good draw. Behold, 6 power. So the question is, next turn do we fight over Lotus Bloom? And I think we do. Because I can't counter without a subtlety Tameshi, I think is what it's called. And they go infinite with Tameshi and Lotus Bloom in terms of mana. I'm just going to leave that up. This kind of looks like I'm holding up subtlety. Maybe they'll think about that. Although this matchup is known for not being good for Living End. It seems like it's not really good for anybody in Modern. So, the 3rd suspend counter is removed. The spell is cast. I'm just going to cast this. We have double force available. I don't know if they have to fight over this, but it seems like they're going to. No, they don't. Seems like they were thinking about Pact of Negation there, knowing they might be dead to another force if I let Pact resolve. And then I force the Lotus Bloom again. If they have 2 packs there, they just fire them off. This is now exiled for a different reason, because we exiled it with Force of Negation. And they're just going for a Belcher, hoping they can activate it next turn. Let's hope this works. They can't they can't Pact of Negation. That will require 5 mana next turn. If this resolves, we still have Boseiju and Otawara in our deck. And 2 Sink into Stupors. Sink into Super was such an upgrade for Living End. This deck feels so much better to play now because almost all of our draw steps are live. Only playing 14 true lands, and some of those lands are more like spell lands. What would I take here? I think I'm putting any creature in the graveyard, and I'm just looking for interaction. Specifically, Otawara and Boseiju. or sink into stupor. Let's get a hedge maze. Sky Turtle can rebuy Force of Negation. For that reason, I'll put it on top. And then we can pitch another blue card, Ardent Plea. Our opponent is tapped out, which is nice. We don't have to worry about Word of Invention. I'll put the graveyards away. They don't matter at the moment. There's the Sky Turtle. Make him do some extra clicks and block. And I guess if he does nothing here, we can bounce that blocker. What is this card called? Philology Archaeologist. Of course, why wouldn't it be? So, I don't know how much we can interact with Tameshi besides the Sky Turtle. Maybe that's good enough. As much as I want to rebuy a Force of Negation, and I don't really know what else he's capable of this turn. Whatever, one or more. Okay. Return a land you control and then return target artifact. Okay. This is the card that got me before. So what we have to do, we might be dead here. Can he just go infinite with this Lotus Bloom now? I said graveyards don't matter. What a fool I was. And it returns it to the play, so we don't even have return target artifact. Yeah, it returns it from the graveyard to the battlefield. We don't even have a chance to counter it by rebuying Force of Negation. This is a little bit of a bummer. Do we have any other way to win this game? I don't think we do. He activates that. It's targeting Lotus Bloom. Oh, nuts. Where is Tashana's Tiebinder when you need it? Maybe he'll screw up. We can look at the top of our deck, but that's it. We can't draw it. He doesn't have a... No, yeah, he can... He hasn't played a land this turn. Did the land he returned enter tapped, or can he pay for it? That I can't remember. Well, we're going to top that. And then I can't remember. We find out if he had picked up the correct land here. I think he picked up a land that he can shock. That resolves. He can make 3 mana, replay Tameshi. Can he make the 4th mana? Everyone watching is probably yelling at me. Yeah, he can. But he can't make... Yeah, he can make white. He can sack this, use 2 white and a blue. So this looks like game. I'm just going to let him play it out a little bit and make sure he's actually got it. Yeah. Okay. He knows what to do. I'll concede. I don't think time really matters against that deck. I don't need all these living ends. I'll bring in what I'm doing here. So in becomes just disruptive stuff. I think we definitely want Flare of Denial. I think I need all these Ardent Pleas. The problem, I don't really believe in going after the artifacts because Belcher wins at instant speed, essentially. Unless you get a situation like last game where they play it just hoping to get a turn back. Usually they'll only do that if they have a second one. So Taking that out. Taking that out. Taking that out. What else did I bring in? Second Commandeer. Still have 3 cuts to make. I must have brought other things in. Oh no, I'm just cutting cards at this point. I guess 1 subtlety. Because usually Tameshi is not the biggest thing you have to fight about. In that case it was, but it's not always. Press the enemies a lot of mana. Gosh, these opening hands. That's a good one. Well, it's not the best one, but on 6, beggars can't be choosers. And I think we just put back the forest. No, I'll put back the breeding pool because I can just go get that. I'll start by cycling Street Wraith. I don't usually do that, but if we drew a tap land there, might have been nice. That's a good draw. Now we just need some blue cards. We don't need to wait for his end step. Hedge Maze. I think I actually will fight over a setup card now. If he plays that Archaeologist, I think I will. Mystical Dispute it. Who else has fun playing against Belcher? Because I know that I sure do. Yeah. I'll counter that. Though my hand is not doing very much. We can fight over a Tameshi activation by exiling, or by tucking his graveyard, but that's pretty much all I can do right now. I found 1 Force of Negation is usually not enough against Belcher. As we saw the last game, now there's 2. Yeah, I guess we'll get... We have the white land, so we'll get the breeding pool. That's a good draw. Maybe. The question is, do we even flash Endurance in here to get a clock going? I think the answer is yes. We can't counter that. This Endurance is the cards for us. He's just getting lands here. Okay, it seems like his hand is either land light or that was just a total whiff. Look at the top 4. I feel like most of his setup spells are better than that, unless he doesn't have land. This may not be the right play. Maybe we need to wait. Save the Endurance for a bigger fight. But the opponent's not going to damage themselves down to 0. Okay. We got 2 cards out of his hand. That's not the worst draw I've ever had. Big creature. Big enough. But, I mean, does he have a protected win next turn? I don't think he does. He doesn't have any Lotus Blooms coming off Suspend. Alright, we get to Endurance him. I don't think putting our Charlotte's Agent back on top of our deck is going to be relevant here. So I'm going to let it resolve. Whenever I live in End, sometimes I think about a big party of random people showing up unannounced, but in this case it's monsters. I think my favorite thing about this deck in paper over the years is you get to tap 3 mana and tell your opponent to pick up all their creatures and put them in the graveyard. He got to sink into stupor with this card, by the way. That's what this was all about. Ooh, that's desperate. That's not looking like a Goblin Charbelcher this turn. I wonder if I need to be worried about the Blood Moon Merfolk, the Water Moon, or would it be the Blood Water? Water Moon could have been a cartoon on Cartoon Network in the 90s. There was Sailor Moon. I never watched it though. I always felt like that show was for girls because it was about girls. Just in time. We're going to start by attacking with everybody. All of our rowdy friends are coming over tonight. Kind of like a group of trick-or-treaters showing up at the door. It's just a random hodgepodge of scary things or mystical things. Did I miss Lethal here? Talking to myself? Yeah, I miss Lethal. I'm sure a lot of you were facepalming as I talked to myself about cartoons that didn't exist. And we win anyway, alright. Missing Lethal is a solid strategy, however, let's try to be a little better next time. Lockdown doesn't matter, that's not the fight we want to have, and it doesn't even hit Tameshi. I think on the draw especially, we don't need the Ardent Please. I'm going to leave it as it is. Do we want Teferi? If we play Teferi, we can't lose a counter war, but we can just lose quite easily. So the problem is in this, if he suspends turn 1, turn 3, if we can't tap out, because then we can't even leave Mystical up. We are totally dependent on Force and Commandeer. Teferi is another 3-drop that we really want to play on turn 3, but we need a Force to do it. But I think I'm overthinking this. He's a blue counterspell deck. Let's not complicate things. He doesn't literally play the card counterspell, but you know what I mean. So this hand is almost trash, but because of this Forest, it's incredible. So I'm going to keep, we can go get a breeding pool. We can even rebuy an Ent at some point, or a Mystical Dispute. Rebuying a Mystical Dispute sounds way better than rebuying an Ent. We're going to keep... Yes, I want the ley line. Thank you. Thank you, Magic Online. One time at a sealed PPTQ, I lost my game 3, went in for top 8, because on turn 6, I had a land in my hand, and I just didn't play it and pass the turn. And then I lost the game. So play your lands, kids. Don't be like me. There's the Lotus Bloom. That card is quite good. It turns him from a turn 7 deck into a turn 4 deck. We have to be careful. If we commandeer, I'm just going to do this now. I'm tired of waiting for him. If we commandeer Lotus Bloom, and we ever sacrifice it, it goes to his graveyard. I think I have to get Breeding Pool here because I want this mystical up. As much as a Surveil land sounds really nice right about now. It would be nice if we could somehow get him to die from not being able to pay for a Pact of Negation. Can I say that on YouTube? The D word? If we could get him to commit, go away. Living in. Never change. There's times with this deck where I would rather just not draw a card than draw Living in. There have been times in Paper where if I drew any card off the top of my library, I was going to win the game, and I drew my third Living in. He has a red land. I don't want to bounce this because that just helps him combo. He doesn't care about this creature, and it's not part of his combo. And I'm going to go get... Well, what do I get here? I would like to have 3 lands, but I would also like to have 3 blue. And I think 3 blue is more important. Or sorry, 2 blue. So there's a theory that a way that you win this matchup is by Bosejuing lands. He'll go to 6 mana next turn. If I knew I was going to draw Boseiju, I obviously would have gotten a different land there. However, I didn't know I was going to draw Boseiju. He's got a Lotus Bloom with 1-time counter on it. But we have Commandeer. So if he tries to do something ridiculous, we can Commandeer. So what do we do here? If I play my Boseiju, I can hardcast a Mystical Dispute and then still have Commandeer, so I can double counterspell. If I play Hedge Maze, I can use Boseiju, and I still have 1 counterspell. But I never have the chance to attack his lands again. But does that even matter? Because he's going to have so much mana from these Lotus Blooms. One-time counter, 1-time counter. He's getting tons of mana next turn. I just have to fight over the spells. The lands don't matter. He's going to have 3. If I Boseiju, he's going to have 2. He can play a land 3. He's going to have 9 mana to initiate his combo, which is a ton. So I'm going to play Beside You. I'm going to have a Hardcast Mystical Dispute. And then I'm also going to have Commandeer up. On a future turn, I can potentially rebuy a Mystical Dispute with the Colossal Sky Turtle and cast another counterspell if I draw another land that enters untapped. I don't think I fight over either of these Lotus Blooms because he has so many. I don't think there's a difference between him having 7 mana this turn and having 10. Or having 6 and having 9. Where does it say how many time counters are on? I think they're both coming off suspend right now. Maybe I'm playing this matchup totally wrong. Feel free to tell me what you guys think. I'm not super plugged into Modern. I've been playing a fair amount recently, but I'm not well studied on what the optimal theories are about how you should be playing against different decks. Okay, just do your worst. I mean, Mystical doesn't matter now because he can make so much mana. So he's going to attack. Does he just have nothing, or is he just waiting for second main phase? I don't care about Tormod's Crypt. Even if I did care, what would I do? I'm not living ending anytime soon. How do we win this game? I want to dig. I could have done that with Misty. Now that I realize, I don't need white mana. I can get it with this Misty Rainforest. Is his plan actually to kill me with that thing? Until he draws a Sink into Stupor? If I build up enough blue cards, I could Commandeer, rebuy Commandeer. Oh man, what a game. That was a good draw. We could also hard cast the turtle. He may have to sack a Lotus Bloom to pay for Ward 2. But if he could bounce it with Sink into Stupor, he could also bounce Leyline of Sanctity. Okay, so these Mysticals are just essentially Lotus Petals for Commandeer. And Living End's total uses. So our hand right now is basically Sky Turtle and Force of Negation. Just with a bonus spell plus a fan. I mean, do I even care? Does it arguably make my hand better? No, it doesn't, because I could draw Endurance. Well, jeez. Yeah, I think we keep that. We can bounce, and play it. Oof. And then on his end step. By the way, he sacked a Lotus Bloom. We are fighting through his mana. Although Tameshi combo is still obviously game winning because he can dig, make mana until he finds a bounce spell. So we're not as safe here as I'm acting like I am. He's down to only 6 mana. These mysticals might become real cards again. I don't want to bounce anything because then Teferi will die to this card. Do I just commandeer this? Oh, gosh. So, I mean, without Teferi on the board, he'll have a counterspell for... Yeah, with Teferi on the board, he can't counterspell me. So we're going to change the target of Mystical Dispute to Commandeer. That's something you're allowed to do. What a complicated game. Hopefully I click on this right. I don't remember how Magic Online presents this. Well, I guess the good news is we don't have to worry about it. I cannot pay for that. No. Maybe I should have just kept playing Draw Go until I had almost no life left. But, I mean, his hand builds up better than mine does. Yeah, I don't really care anymore. We have our green, so we have our Charlotte's Agent if we need it. He doesn't seem like he has combo in hand. Yeah, I should have left green mana up, or I mean blue mana up, but those weren't the actions of somebody that could win the game. He respected 2 cards last turn. So I think we just have to put the clock in play. I don't think giving him more turns to draw a better hand before we put a clock in play is better. He didn't seem like he was eager to get the ball started. Is that how the saying goes? Get the ball rolling? It reminds me of the brain planet from Futurama. The brain balls. That's a desperate move. That's not how I expected him to use... That's not how I expected him to use that card. I expected him to use that card for Leyline of Sanctity. Hopefully we draw a blue card here. We can hold up Force. I think I still want to put the body in play because we're going to take 3 damage every turn. He suspended a Lotus Bloom. So he drew a Lotus Bloom. Street Wraith could be anything. It could even be a blue card. That's a blue card. All right, let's do it right this time. He didn't like how I tapped my lands last time, so let's tap him better. Now I'm holding up more cyclers. Although I don't think I can even attack here. I'm dead in more turns, fewer turns than he is. I'm closer to dead than he is, even when you consider that I've got a bigger creature. Well, this is really the question. He's respected 2 cards in my hand the whole game, or he just has stone nothing. I'm going to attack and then try to Living End. He'll pop the Tormod's Crypt, and then I will cycle Waker of Waves. And I will get another card in my hand, so I'm not necessarily even unprotected with this force, necessarily. I gotta pick up a blue card, though. Basically, lands are like cheating. They just tap for their color all the time. I cast. I guess that makes more sense. Wait for me to cast it. He was playing right. So even if I Wakered, he shoals. What did he exile? Oh, he's just paying 2. Okay. But we get the blocker. And we still have a blue card, Force of Negation in our hand. This is looking okay for us. Especially he's got to win in the next minute 38 seconds. Maybe I should just stop attacking. I don't like playing like that unless it's against Lantern. But, I mean, we have to 5-0 the league to release the beast. He doesn't attack. He's scared of this. I'm going to go looking for some action. I'm not satisfied with the board state. I'll top that. I'll make him spend cards out of his hand. That's a really interesting decision. Which one do we want more? Well, I think we take Teferi, bounce Harbinger of the Seas. Yes, we have another blue card. Oh, but we can't cast it. Never mind. Totally screwed that up. But so 6, 12, 13. What a fool I was. That was a major punt. Sorry, everybody. I'm sure everyone was screaming at me. I'm only going to attack for 1 because this clock really isn't the best for me. And we can't do things like be annoying, but I mean, all that we really need to counter is sink into stupor, is it not? No, I'm glad we didn't attack with Shardless Agent, because now that clock really doesn't favor us, because it will never damage him again. I'm nervous. 41 seconds left, 44. That's a really good draw. We're going to attack. I could go looking for a land there, but I think I'd rather no. what exactly we need to fight. It doesn't get a Tameshi. Non-creature, non-land card. So draw 2 cards. Yeah. We win. Amazing. No matter how bad I play, I'm just unstoppable this league.